I watched your movie last night. I enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was good. I loved how I was just telling Jacqueline, I love how positive it was and how your character, Miriam, was so positive throughout most of it. It's good.
Yeah, yeah. It's there's a lot in the world that isn't so positive. So it's really nice to see a story that is leaning on how important it is to be kind.
Right, definitely. And I interview quite a few people in indie movies and they tend not to be too positive. So
Oh no.
It's hard to stay positive. You bear the burden of all the work, and
Mm.
you feel like you're not seen, and that can be so depressing and so
yeah.
hard. You
Well,
know?
it's like the little movies in the movie where they're all
Ah,
trying to be
And not all, obviously, indies, like Jackie's beautiful work, end up at Santa Barbara International Film Festival
no.
or in a festival. Like it's great that it finds some eyes and some audience. It's really
Yeah.
that's a privilege.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. I would look forward to seeing a trailer and wider release. That would be great.
Oh my God, it would be
That'd be amazing.
great.
I know
Yeah.
people who would love it. I already told one friend
Oh,
of mine on Facebook, you would like this movie.
Oh, great. Thank
So
you.
great. Yeah, I mean that's, actually word of mouth. You can have all kinds of marketing campaigns and they can, there's people, really smart people who make these marketing campaigns work really well, but word of mouth is the best human marketing campaign there is.
definitely, definitely. So well, welcome. I'm a fan of both of your work. Josh from originally from Drop Dead Diva, I
Hi, thank
love,
you.
and
Okay, there we go.
Miriam from Younger.
Thank you.
Two experienced actors. What resonated with you most in this film, each of you?
Yeah, well, I actually, speaking of Younger, I've directed a couple episodes of Younger, and I had just directed my first episode of Younger when I got the script.
Oh, wow.
The
That's
woman
wild.
who decides she wants to be a director later in life, and I was like, "What? Is someone spying on me?" Um, it just was like fate. It felt like when I got the script, and the script was wonderful, and it was this woman's story who was going to direct the film. So, in some ways, right, it was based on, and that just felt like inevitable to me. I was like, oh, well, obviously I'm doing this. So that is really what drew me to it. That and the fact that it was just a great script and a great role,
Yeah, it's
you know?
funny. As I was going to ask you, since I was going to compare the two, because in both of them they're about women over a certain age not being taken seriously. And I thought, is this a coincidence, or do you look for things like this? But yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I mean, I think that story was finally allowed to be told.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
think in the past it was like no one, you would hear like no one wants to see that, and you're like, who's no one? Do you know this no?
yeah.
Because I feel like I'm someone and I want to.
Yeah, let's
So
not pay attention to no one anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No one does not have a
Yeah.
Go with no one.
no, yeah, doesn't have good taste.
Right,
Yeah.
right. With
So,
all of the change in Hollywood that we've seen over the last, I don't know, decade with being more inclusive, it should definitely be more inclusive to people over 40, 50. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, which is a lot of people
Yeah.
On the planet
on the
who are
planet.
still alive and living
Exactly.
lives with aspirations and
It's
sorrow and
interesting that there's a big push to get those people as an audience,
Mhm.
but not as creators. That's so
Hmm.
interesting, right? I
Interesting.
feel like,
Why?
yeah,
Yeah,
but I think
why?
I agree with you that I think that is changing, and that door swings open and shut a lot. The gatekeeper door. It's not
Mhm.
once it's open, it's not like forever open. It swings back shut,
Right.
but your foot in the door when it swings open, and you're like, you're not going to shut it all the way, you know.
So, Josh, you play a lot of, let's say, flawed men like
Yeah,
Bob.
thank you. I think that's correct. Thank you for putting
How
it
do
that
you
way.
how do you play that? How do you find your inner Bob, who's very
It's
selfish, to bring
it's
him out for the
exhausting.
role?
They're exhausting. I think the way I like to think of it is sort of in the gray. And ideally, when you find something that sort of matters, like Jackie's script to me, and the type of artist that Jackie is and is becoming, it's beautiful when they create something that isn't lives in the gray, at least with like a Bob character that isn't just he's just a jerk or he's just great. And that kind of dimensionality makes it more interesting for me as an actor.
Sure.
Sometimes it's a little bit of a drag trying to like tell my kids, hey, they're like good guy, bad guy. I'm like, well, Great guy. Great guy.
Great
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
But also Bob in the movie, like, you
Yeah.
know, he doesn't take the turn you fully expect. He lets her come into his home and stay there and cares for her when she's hit rock bottom. And that is an aspect of the story that I feel like Jackie added to show that, like, this
Yes.
person you think is terrible isn't a hateful person.
Right.
Like-
Yeah, I found that interesting too, that it does not, it does, like you said, take an interesting turn. It's like it doesn't turn out.
Yeah, like
She'll be kind.
right. She's really, well-drawn humans
Yeah.
throughout, I think, the story.
Yeah,
That's what
definitely.
populates our landscape and our landscape. And that is what makes the film kind of sing.
Right. And as somebody who runs a TV website, that's what I like most about TV. You don't see as much in films is interesting characters and character development and that kind of
Well,
thing.
you have multiple episodes. That's
Right.
like the,
Exactly.
making the longest movie ever made. If you get
Yeah.
7 episodes or 7 seasons of
Seasons, right.
something, I mean, that's the gift that TV can give to character development.
That's right. And as I was looking through you guys, trying to remember, which projects I've seen you in, because you both have a lot. Both of you were in Marvel projects in the past.
Yeah.
Different ones, but
Yep. Around the same time, though.
It'd be funny if those two characters were hanging out, though.
Yeah, that'd be you shouldn't come in that wardrobe.
Speaking of speaking of villains.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when I thought of, sometimes you get to play a jerk, I thought of your character in WandaVision.
Yeah.
Yes. Domination jerk.
Yeah, exactly. And so Miriam, I read that you'll be in the new Superman movie, and I just want to tell you, I can't wait for that.
No,
Good luck.
That was based on what was going to happen, and we couldn't make it work. So I'm not
Oh
in her. But I was saying I would go anywhere and do anything for James Gunn. So
Mhm.
Right.
bring me
Right.
up,
Yeah.
I'm on board. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it too because even though I'm a Christopher Reeve Superman person,
Yeah.
because that was my first,
Mhm.
but people say a lot of things about Marvel, but those kind of stories were how the impact of storytelling first hit me when I went to see Star Wars or Superman.
Right.
And I was a kid, and the enormity of how I felt watching those stories mattered to me, and so it tapped into something that made me want to tell stories. So and then I watched them with my kids, and so and it becomes a mythology that we can talk about the complexity of life and the difficulties of life. So I felt so privileged to be able to be in that world. Also, I had just finished watching the entire ouvre of the Marvel universe with my children, and 2 weeks later they were like, "Want to be in Guardians?" I was like, "Yes,
Manifest.
I've studied."
Well, Star Wars and superheroes, they tend to have strong female characters, so that.
Yeah, although I have a bone to pick with the original Star Wars. I mean, the internet is going to come down on me, but the original, I remember being like, how come there are no women pilots and the only woman is a princess? I mean, they let a fish guy be a pilot. It was too hard to figure out that a woman can also fly one of those ships. Well, a fish can, but
nah, that's too far. Bridge too far.
But that has changed. And it was so fun and fulfilling to be with my kids and to see that universe expand.
Yeah, they made up for that later.
And that princess was a badass.
Yeah,
she kicked ass, literally.
So, but yeah,
shot a lot of people.
Yeah, where women are allowed to play leadership roles
Marvel now, right?
in the world and in our stories. It matters that they play leadership roles in our stories so we can see them do that in our minds, and we can have them do that in our world.
Exactly. And that's what Jackie has so crafted so well with Harry.
Definitely bringing it around back to them.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a leader in this sort of stereotypical hyper toxic masculine way that we've all been taught.
Right.
What a good leader is someone who's fierce and Attila the Hun, and
right.
Like, is that a good leader?
Right.
We can question.
Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, we could have a whole other conversation about bad leaders in the world right now.
Yeah.
In what way? Just kidding.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate talking to you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.